What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode. Abhinav is back. For people who haven't watched the first part of his episode, you should go and check it out. He's from Penn State. He did his master's from Penn State. He's from Nagpur. I'll let him introduce it. But this video, we're going to focus on how he got into Google. And before that, he had internship and another company. So everything related to career in this video. Abhinav, let's do a quick intro.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Abhinav. I am currently a program manager in YouTube. And today marks, is this today also? Like, can I say?
Yeah, while the time of recording. I don't know if we can release it today, but
okay.
Yeah.
So, and today is my 4-year anniversary at Google. And yeah, I am basically from Nagpur, as you said, and I came to the United States in 2014. And thank you for having me.
Yeah. How long have you been? You said 4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
4 years in Google.
In Google, yes.
And before that, you had something else?
For 6 months.
Yeah. And then you also had internship.
Also had internship.
Okay. Let's start with internship. So for people who don't know the context behind all of this, go check out the first video. This one, I'm link in the description. This one is purely focused on how to get a job, skills, careers, everything. So let's dive into your internship search. When did you start looking for an internship?
I think a semester before you are supposed to go for your summer internships. So you are looking at, you go for internship in around May, June timeframe. So I started a semester before that, which is your spring semester. So December through.
So you came in fall.
I came in fall.
So you started basically in fall, right?
Sort of, yes. As soon as fall got over,
like almost at the end, like November, December, and then you started.
Because a lot of openings come up then.
Yeah. Okay. What was your approach like for internship search? Like, did you have any strategy? Did you have this crazy productive strategy? People have spreadsheets and all. So what kind of strategy did you have?
I did have a spreadsheet, but that was mostly to track where I've applied and what has happened to that. Yeah. But most of it was just brute force, like apply as much as you can. I used to find any opportunity, I used to apply for it, and my profile were all ready and everything. And I used to just apply for those. I think a resume is where you do a little bit of tweaking to make sure that your skills are getting represented nicely. Outside of that, you just keep applying and do not lose hope.
Okay. Do you, now that you look back and now that you worked in the industry for 4 years, do you feel that is still the best approach?
I feel so. I think as long as your resumes are getting into the hands of recruiters who are hiring for these positions, something or the other will click and someone will reach out to you. And now even at that time, LinkedIn was big, but now you have LinkedIn. A lot of things can happen just through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So do not ignore LinkedIn or your social presence.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, where I was getting it is that I have been in the industry and I feel people applying online versus using referrals is way much more 100%. Effective. So I would, of course, go and apply. Don't stop that. But I would also say that make network, because that's what is going to get you to the next step, I feel, in a lot of companies.
And being very honest, I got into Google through a referral.
Yeah.
So referrals, they are 8x more powerful than any sort of email chain.
Yeah. So what was your internship? What role were you looking for?
I was looking for mostly supply chain analyst sort of roles.
Nice. Okay.
And eventually the internship that I got was with a company called Cummins. They have a plant in Pune as well, in Chakan, Pune.
Oh, nice.
But they do diesel engines for your Ford Ram and all these semi trucks things. And my role was new product reliability engineering intern.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was a lot about just like monitoring what's the reliability of our engines that we are manufacturing.
How did you get it?
Through career fair. So I went to career fair, nothing came up after that, and I just waited. And one day when I was at my professor's office, deciding whether I want to do the summer research with him versus go for an internship.
Yeah.
Because at that point I did not have anything.
Yeah.
I get a call and the recruiter was like, we had your resume somewhere. we feel like there's this position that you can fit in.
Yeah.
That's how I got it.
Got it. Okay. And was there an interview or anything?
There was, yes, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
There were multiple interviews for that as well.
Okay.
But
what does the interview look like for that position? Because that position's name is so big.
You were basically getting screened by the recruiter first
Right.
to understand if everything matches.
Yeah.
And then the hiring manager talks to you, and the hiring manager will see if you have the right sort of skill set to be able to perform your duties in this position. And then there's a team interview where a teammate will talk to you to tell you more about what they do and how does it match with what I'm expecting.
Got it. Okay. And do they ask technical question or is it all behavioral?
A little bit. It's a mix of both.
Okay.
And every company does it differently.
Right.
But these guys definitely asked me a mix of both. So behavioral would be if you do a certain thing in a certain way and something goes wrong, what will you do, sort of things. And then technical would be a lot about, because reliability sort of relates to stats. You have to look at a lot of measures and stuff. They asked me a lot of stat related questions.
Okay. Got it. I'm not going to go into the details because I wouldn't know what you would say, but people who probably want to know more, reach out to him, link in the description, all social media. So he's also a YouTuber, by the way. I forgot to mention in the previous video. But anyway.
Hashtag inspiration.
Thank you. Moving forward, you are almost about to graduate. You have your full-time job. How did that happen?
My full-time jobs, I had 2 offers before I graduated, a semester before I was graduating. In December, I had an offer from a company.
And this is not the internship?
No. So the internship did not get converted, unfortunately.
Okay.
Super sad about it.
Yeah.
They were supposed to convert, but some headcount stuff happened and it did not get converted. But yeah, I had 2 offers from companies that I met at the career fair.
Okay, so again, career fair. So you would say that career fairs are important? Because I've seen so many people saying that career fairs are not important, and especially I think it's a lot of seniors who don't get through career fairs. They just say it's waste of time. But I have my current job also gotten through career fairs. So yeah, well, what's your take on it?
They are super important.
Yes.
And you get to meet people, which is the benefit you have.
Versus sending an online resume.
Yeah, they do not see you, right? In career fair, your personality comes up and you can talk with them in person.
Yeah.
So both the offers came through career fair, and it was.
So what was your conversation like?
Your 30-second pitch that you do after standing in line. You just tell them, this is my resume and this is what I have been doing and why I'm interested in your company. So do your homework as well.
And I was gonna just get to that, is did you knew that, because I'm assuming Penn State has several companies coming. Did you knew that which company you are gonna attack, or you were like, jo milta hai wherever I go?
That was pretty much the approach. I found companies that hire for H1B students, candidates, figure out if obviously you do not want to waste your time standing in a line for one company that you may not make by the end of the career fair. So you would then strategize based on the map. These are my target companies. These are the ones I'll focus on first, because my chances of getting in are higher since they have had some hiring in the past from my college and they hire a lot of international students as well.
How do you know that?
LinkedIn.
Okay. Got it.
So
so I'm just going through. The reason I'm asking this question is so people prepare that way. You get the list of companies coming in your career fair, and then you basically do your research. That this company, how many people are there, alumni or international students?
100%. Yeah. LinkedIn, just search for the company name, click on people, you will figure out what they are hiring for.
Right.
And you can also ask the placement department, career center, what has the trend been for these companies. They will help you with those things as well. But that was the approach. Figure out which ones I want to target, and then you have time left. So instead of collecting a lot of goodies and merchandise from their tables,
Which is also very important.
It is. Initially, it is for the first 2 semesters.
The very first one. As soon as you go, because you don't know, you're just checking out.
As soon as you are like, I have to get a job now.
That becomes least priority. Yeah.
So then I just like went around a bunch of other companies, but that was more of handing my resume to make sure that at some point, if they check, they may reach out to us.
Yeah. Okay. So the 2 offers which you had, or the company you actually went with, what was the role for that?
That role was called a business associate, but it was a consulting company. So they were doing a lot of consulting for data analytics consulting, by the way. So they would do it for like super high value pharmaceutical clients. And because East Coast is full of pharma companies and banking as well, they would do a lot of data analytics consulting for them. So they would do a lot of like promotional response or targeting for sales. It was a sales and marketing analytics consulting.
Very interesting, because you did your master's in industrial engineering, a lot of supply chain courses, and then now going into business associate or consulting role. What skill sets did you require for that, or is required for that position?
My RA role, the research assistant role, gave me exposure to a lot of data analytics. And I'm talking about machine learning, natural language processing, just using Python, Java, and stuff like that in small packets, not a lot. But I was able to have those technical conversations with the people who were at the career fair. And that research experience opened me up to this new field of data analytics, data mining. And this company was looking for that sort of experience. And they found the research to be interesting because my research was a little bit towards gamification in healthcare. How do we introduce gamification so that patients who need physical therapy, they follow their physical therapy protocols instead of giving them up after 6 days. So how do you gamify this experience?
Nice.
In one of your podcasts, I think it was Saundarya's, at the very last, she said, make yourself interesting.
Yeah.
These experiences make your resume and your personality interesting.
Yeah.
And that catches the attention of recruiters.
Yeah. Cool. So, and now, because this is a different from your industrial engineering, what was the interview process for that?
This surprisingly did not have a technical interview. It was a lot of situation-based interviews.
Because your role was probably consultant.
Yes. Yeah, so and they never asked me single line of SQL or anything. They never asked me for it.
Nice.
But they wanted to know how my problem-solving approach is and how do I really think about if a client comes to me with a problem, how would I solve it? And then how do I really work with people? Because in consulting, you have a lot of interaction.
Yes, absolutely.
So how do I work with them?
Yeah. So I'm going to track back a little bit. So you met the company at career fair. You handed them the resume. What happened then? Did the recruiter call you, or did you follow up?
This was a little odd because they took our resumes and they said, we'll get back to you by evening.
Okay.
In the evening, they called out a few shortlisted candidates that we would like to interview tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they were staying back.
Okay. So they interviewed on campus.
On campus the very next day.
Okay.
But that was just one interview. And after that was done, they were like, we will invite you to our offices and we'll conduct everything there now.
And the office was also in the same?
It was in New Jersey.
Oh, in New Jersey. Okay. So you had to go there.
I had to go there. Then I met a few of them at their office. And things then worked out.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. And if you had to give some examples for those behavioral questions, what are those?
So sort of like what kind of questions are asked? And, I think it's
like an example.
I think it's very situation basis, right? You are put into a situation, so they can ask things like, you have a deadline to meet and you are just not able to meet it. What would be your very first step and what would you do? And you may not have had this experience in life professionally, but there are instances in your regular life also when you have these things. And I think in one of your videos you mentioned have some story behind it. And I think that's the way to go about it. Like deadlines could be anywhere. It could be for a family function also. How you behave under that stress situation is what matters. But these could be one of those questions, like you have a deadline to meet, your manager is out of office, what would you do now?
Similar. And I think for people-based question, they ask you like if you had conflicts or disagreement with your co-workers, how would you resolve that? And totally. So, and what's your approach to answer those? Like I think I've said it in one of my videos. I want to see like how did you tackle, like did you prepare for those answers? How did you prepare it?
I definitely had a few situations in my mind. Like if a question like this comes up, how would I tackle it? Like, do I have experiences from my internship or my research work? Because research is all about deadlines. You have to meet the deadlines, and your advisor is your boss in this case. So I had a few stories and examples, real ones, genuine. Like I did not make them up on the fly. Genuine stories from my experience that I had prepared to talk about during these interviews.
So the one of the techniques which I'm talking about is called STAR technique. And assuming you already know that, situation, task, action, result. So it's basically the way you form up that answer is like, what was the situation? What was the task you had to do? So for example, deadline, and then what action did you take and what was the outcome? So it's a very important interview technique for behavioral.
I think it's storytelling.
It is totally storytelling. It is like that's why I say that you have to have few stories in your mind. That if they ask you this is the story you're going to tell. If you ask this, so
they could be genuine, but a lot of companies allow you to create hypothetical situations and tackle that, because your mind will work in a way that will tell what you will actually do.
Yes, totally. That's why it's behavioral. How are you going to behave in this situation? So cool. All right. So you worked for 6 months. What happened? Something happened. You got into Google. How did that happen?
I was applying to Google for a while. Eventually I said, like, I got in touch with someone who I knew who was at Google, and I was like, referral please. They agreed to do that. Super kind of them. So thank you. And the referral went through. I was reached out by a recruiter, and nothing really happened with my role in my current job. I was just applying. It's like, let's give it a try through referral now. And it worked out. I applied for a different role, and I was reached out for a different role because the recruiter said, this looks like a better fit for you versus what you applied for. And I was delighted. I said, let's move ahead with the process. And everything happened remotely. All the initial interviews happened remotely. And that was it.
You make it sound so easy. Okay, let's break it down. What was the role you got into?
I applied for a product analyst role. And I was reached out for a role that's called an analyst role, but it is in their function which keeps Google safe, or the users safe who are doing any transactions on Google. That's the team. It's called Trust and Safety, or Business Integrity in other words. But the industry term is now Trust and Safety. So doing an analyst role, a lot of SQL and stuff.
God. Oh, so you weren't program manager from day one. So you moved to program manager.
Internally. Yes.
Okay. Cool. And I know that obviously Google is super secure and you can't give out a lot of details, but what's like a general process for Google interview?
It's very standard now in tech industry, where you will have the first screening with the recruiter. They will sort of see if you match what the hiring manager is also looking for. And once you have that conversation, they will send it to the hiring manager. Then they will set you up with the hiring manager for an interview, for an initial interview. If you clear that, then comes the on-site part. This is the process that I followed. I had one recruiter screening, hiring manager, and then on-site interviews. And there were 3 on-site interviews that I had in person with 3 hiring managers who were all looking for someone, and they have strict guidelines on how to follow the interview process. But I had in all 5 interviews, and I have interviewed with other tech companies as well, and I've seen pretty much that's the standard procedure now. You talk to 2 people online,
and then you go on site. And you said 3, so those were 3 different kind of positions.
Those were 3 different hiring managers who were looking for the same
position, but in their team. Gotcha. Okay. So if you could have impressed all 3 of them and they would have fought for you, kind of.
I wish. I hope they did.
Hypothetically,
yes,
but yeah. But you just had to impress one of them, which could have like, okay, I like it. It fits for my team.
Yes.
And even though the other 2 might have not liked you, so got it. So when you said analyst, what exactly were your day-to-day role for that position?
95% SQL.
Okay.
I did a lot of SQL stuff, and I was involved in like developing a lot of metrics for our team. So you would have to have a nice data visualization mindset. So a lot of dashboarding, reporting, and since this team was sort of trying to keep users safe, you had to have that mind which could catch fraudsters online and save our systems from getting affected negatively because of them. So being ahead of what the external world is trying to do to your systems.
Okay.
But I would say a lot of analytical skills. SQL being one of.
Very interesting, because now, so did you learn SQL, or you just took one class, data management class?
I did a little bit of SQL back in my bachelor's.
Okay.
With RDBMS course.
Okay.
But very little. So I sort of had that in mind, and the data-driven design class at Penn State had a very little SQL.
Okay.
And then my job taught me.
So the first job.
First job taught me a little bit of SQL, and there is I remember, I forget the name of the tool now. This first job, yes, it taught me a little bit of SQL.
Okay.
But most of it I learned at Google.
Okay. Oh, so you learned on job.
On the job. Yes.
Okay. So you would say, like, would you call yourself intermediate at that time when you were joining or interviewing?
Yeah, a little below intermediate.
Little below. Okay. And the reason I'm bringing this up is to kind of inspire students, because one, I just want to give a flashback to your profile. You did not have work experience. The only work experience you had was 6 months at the time, and the internship you had at Penn State, and you did not have any work experience in India. And you were from industrial engineering, got into analyst position. So it is possible. This is another example. And that's kind of, I like to scream this in my video so that people realizes that it's possible. They just have to get out and try it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not holding back is the key.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. So how did that, before we move to transition, what's the salary range for people getting into Google analyst position?
Depending on what level of experience you bring, you would range very differently. I know a lot of this is available online, but just to make this more valuable for anyone who's watching, you can make up a six figure.
Yeah, and that's in Bay Area, right?
That's in. Oh yeah, sorry. Good point. That's in Bay Area.
Yeah.
Other cities, it would be very different.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Transition into YouTube program manager. How did that happen?
I spent 2 years in this analyst role, and I sort of my aspiration is to be a product manager at some point. But I wanted to take an approach where I learn about product management about program management a little first, look at some sort of technical program management, and then eventually, once I've learned the entire process end to end, then dive into product management. There are different paths to get into product management. You could be a CS major, product management. I took the more slow path of going through program to product. So that's the transition was just I deciding that I want to be a program manager now. And I liked to, my friends make fun of me for this, but every time we have a trip coming up, I'll create a Google sheet and track all the expenses, all the tickets and stuff.
Yeah.
They must be watching this and they
Nice.
remember this. So
Nice.
I think those sort of keeping things organized, and definitely my wife is 10 times more organized than me.
Nice.
But I sort of liked doing that.
And how easy that transition in Google? Like, is it just like telling other team, or is it, what is it? What's the process?
It's very much like you are a new candidate. So
you have to interview?
You have. I interviewed.
Oh, okay.
So the transition is not, hey, I like this role.
Right.
Like, take me into your team. It's like, hey, I like this role. They would be like, why? And if you really do, let's talk. And you have an initial chat, and then you go through the exact interview process that you would do as an outsider. The hiring team will talk to you. And I went through that process internally.
Got it. Okay. And so you've been program manager for the last 2 years?
2 years, yes.
Okay. So I wanted to become business analyst, but I did not get it. I got into project management first. So become a project manager. Now I moved into software development team lead or software development manager position. And that was my transition to that. I want to go from project manager to product manager. Yeah. But I don't know if now that's going to happen or not. Hopefully, I'll keep looking for it.
I think you are well set up for that now because you have good software.
Both. Yeah. So hopefully you can refer me, Google, if you're watching it.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I told you already, I invited you. More than happy to do
that. So cool. Now, looking at and I just also again want to highlight that he's not for computer science. He doesn't have programming knowledge. Like you didn't have that. So, and the reason I'm saying it, not to say that you don't know these things, but to tell people that if you don't know this, there are still possibilities you can get into it. So since now that you are in this Google industry for more than 4 years, or roughly about 4 years, what are some of the skills you would recommend students to learn while they are in their university or before even coming to universities?
I think data has become super big now. And it's everywhere, not only with Google, but every other company is using the power of data. So to be able to just like get insights out of that data, make it useful for your leadership or your company. And when I say that, I'm talking really about data analysis. And it could be as simple as creating a simple chart on Excel or Google Sheets. So SQL is definitely like hot right now. And every job description would want you to have SQL experience. And even after being a program manager, I use it day to day. As an analyst, I used it. Software engineers also like to use SQL or some sort of data manipulation techniques. Python has become super big. It's a brilliant thing to have in your back pocket to optimize a lot of things that can be done really well using Python.
Did you know Python before starting at Google?
Sort of,
okay. But not like really hardcore.
No.
Like entry level type.
Entry level. Okay. And then internally I started learning a lot. And even today, I won't say I'm an expert, but there's Google, so you can always search.
Yeah. So you said Python, data, which is SQL. What other things in terms of program manager?
In terms of program management, as understood by a lot of people, it's more about execution, making sure that you deliver projects on time, a lot of tracking and stuff. So if you are able to take a program from the starting point till the end, while everyone who is involved in that program is very well informed throughout the process, the risks are being called out at specific points whenever they are required, and you are able to negotiate, make some trade-offs whenever necessary, and also have some sort of technical judgment if you are in an engineering team or engineering org. So I would say just having, I think there's a phased out program management plan that every team follows, and you do this better because you have been in project management for a very long time. So just being very organized.
Yeah.
And
I think, and we already mentioned the aspects of communication, like negotiation, reporting, like letting stakeholders know, risk management. all those comes under communication
Yes.
plan. And so that is like, I agree, that is same for project manager. That's like the most important part of project manager, to make sure everybody knows what's going on with the project.
Yes. And the tools that you use to do these things could be a combination of various things. That's what you need to learn.
Yeah. So what would you say difference between project manager, program manager, and product manager?
Product manager, I'll start with.
Yeah.
They sort of are like mini CEOs, I would say. They are managing their product, they lead their product, they are the one who will carve out the path for the product in the company.
They make the decision what goes into the product. Yeah.
And they will work with UX, UI, engineering, and everyone.
Yeah.
Program managers could be leading org-wide programs, and these could be bigger programs that are like not specific to a particular product or a particular area, which is what I would say it differs from a project management. In project management, you know that there is this project that I need to work on, but in program, you are leading programs that span across the org or across the company. These are big changes that may happen. Sometimes in smaller teams, you can lead a program that affects only this specific scope.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the hierarchy, program managers typically manage multiple projects.
Yes.
And project managers only focus on that particular project.
Yes.
It could be that you could be as a project manager, you could be managing multiple projects, but as a program manager, it's given that there's going to be...
Yes.
Yeah.
And you, I think it's just horizontally aligned versus vertically aligned. That's the difference.
Yeah.
In terms of the tools, techniques,
same. Yeah, I think, I 100% agree. Cool. Before we end this episode, what are some of the things you wish you knew, or what are some of the things you feel these are the things I learned and you want to reapply it, if you can go back 5 years?
I would have probably chosen CS. Sorry.
Oh, you would have chosen computer science over industrial engineering.
I think today I just feel like computer science gives you so much power to do a lot of things very differently in an efficient manner.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting, the things that you can do with computer science and programming. But anyways, I'd say now that I have chosen this, some of the things I could have done better would have been develop the computer science side of me. So even though I was an industrial engineering student, I could have done a lot more to develop my technical skills that relate well to computer science.
But is that because you are right now in the tech field? Like, what if you were in Tesla and working in that automotive plant?
You can do a lot of things.
Even in the tech, then also, okay, cool.
No matter which field you are in, as long as, I know there's a lot of debate on kids learning programming nowadays, and that's going on in India and stuff, but I think it is powerful. And no matter what field you are in, which company you are working for, you can do something magical with its power that will not only help you with your career progression, but it will also benefit the company or the team that you're working for.
Yeah.
So I'd have probably developed that side a little more.
Got it. Yeah. And switching a little bit, networking. What do you think networking is important in United States?
It's everything. It is a lot. This is happening because of networking,
right?
And a lot of other things in my professional career have happened due to networking, and it is 100% important in US because people value that a lot.
So now I want to take a step back. Now that people understand that networking is important, how can they network?
You have a variety of ways. If you are a student, career fairs are your best bet. LinkedIn is here to stay, and you should always reach out to people on LinkedIn. You can always find out people through the people you know. If I know you and you work for a certain company and you have someone who works for a different company, I can probably go through you and say, can you, that's how I got in, right?
And I just want to say that don't turn into the, like, you will also get this, even though we will say this, that, hey, can you refer me in Google? Like, that shouldn't be the first conversation.
Totally.
Like, that's just a big turn off, and people will not even respond to you. They might not even accept your LinkedIn request because they don't, like, we don't know people in the first place, and I can't refer anybody to my company if I have never worked with that person. So you have to build that relationship. Once you have built it, then you can maybe approach that way.
And building that relationship could also be through sharing your portfolio, right? If you have some piece of work that's out there, you can send it to them. Be like, here's what I have done, and which is why I feel like this is good for me. And they would feel that, oh, this person is really interested in doing it, versus I'm just messaging them for the sake of a referral.
Okay. Final question. This is, I want to emphasize on this because I know people will watch this and they will all get super motivated, inspired. I can get into Google. But I also want to talk about struggles. How hard is it, or how easy it is, or what's the struggle in current job market once you get masters? Because I don't want people to think that it's all rosy garden. Like, you do your masters, you getting a job. Right? So, but what are your thoughts on it?
I think coming to the US is a very, very big decision financially. So, as I said earlier, make sure you're not holding back on the college that you're going to. You are doing your homework correctly, that you will end up getting something. And from a job market perspective, it is definitely not, as you said, a garden of roses, where you won't find any thorns. You will come across situations where you will get rejected multiple times. You will come across situations where you'll get an offer and the offer will get rescinded. You will have, like, they will just cancel the offer after they have offered you. Those things can happen. All you have to do is be mentally prepared that you won't step back. You are here for a goal and you will achieve that no matter what. I think from the struggles that I have faced, I think it was mostly making sure that my loan gets paid off.
Oh yeah.
When I started, and we will talk about
in this
that as well
next episode.
Outside of that, just this.
Did you have, like, I had this fear, like, I never, and this could be just me as a personality, I always felt like, I don't think I'm good enough to get into Google.
So I was going to say that, like, the struggle is your mental block, which tells you are not meant to be there. And to overcome that, you have to come across something that makes you believe that has happened. But when you see all these examples around you who have done things similar to what you have done, and they are still at a certain point, and honestly, like, there's no thing that I want to get into, it's a big thing. Like, many other companies are doing great stuff. So it's all about, what do you want? What do you desire? And I wanted to be in Google. That was a long-lasting dream. So I made it. But that mental block just got removed. And I used to apply for Google thinking no one is going to call me. Like, I'll apply because it's free, right?
Right.
I can put in as many applications as possible. Now I want to tell people, irrespective of your background, educational, professional, whatever it could be, there are roles in these tech companies that will suit you and that will basically be a really good match for your skill set. Do not hold back in terms of the colleges that you're applying for, in terms of the job applications that you're putting. You have a place everywhere. So just apply and be headstrong that you want to go and get it.
Absolutely. I cannot agree more, because I had this struggle when I was starting my career, because I did computer science and I wanted to switch from computer science to business analyst, project management, tech management role. And I'm like, why would people hire me? I don't think I'm good enough. And it's just in my head. But once you just have to pass that phase that you can do it. You just have to apply for it, because even if you think like that, it's going to show in your action. So you just have to remove that and just keep moving forward.
Yeah. And once you start thinking, you will mold your experience or mold your projects and everything that you do around that goal.
Yeah.
And it'll help you get there.
Yeah,
eventually.
totally. Awesome. Any last words of wisdom, tips before we end this video?
I think especially for all the industrial engineering students, all the tech companies hire you. And I feel a little strongly about industrial engineering students because it's not a very well known branch. Especially in India, there are very few colleges that offer industrial engineering as a course. So I feel very emotionally attached to all those. So I think irrespective of what field you come from, just make sure that you aim towards what you really desire instead of holding yourself back and thinking this is not going to happen because of something that has stuck with you in your mind. Just let it go. Keep trying. And I've heard this from one of my professors back in engineering colleges. No decision is right or wrong. You have to take a decision and make it right. And that's what I have been implementing, that I never go back on my decisions for the most part, I would say. So whatever decision you have made, whatever your goal is when you come to the United States, or for that matter, anywhere, you go behind what you really want to achieve instead of thinking yourself that I'm not going to make it. That's not how it works. You will make it. Just be determined enough. And Yudi keeps saying it. Keep hustling.
Keep smiling and keep hustling. All right. Anyway, that is it for this one. Next episode is going to be, well, I don't know if it is going to be the next one, but we're also going to film another episode, which is going to be on personal finance. Everything related to money. $45,000 loan and Google and everything. So
too much pressure.
All right. Until our next one.
Keep smiling. Keep hustling.
Gotta hustle every single day.